If you're in the police promotion process, one of the things that you have to have is this, a police promotion roadmap, whether you're going from sergeant to inspector or whether you're going from PC to sergeant, you need to have a roadmap. And in this video, I'm going to outline to you how you can utilize our friend, the competency and values framework and the good old wheel of confusion to formulate that roadmap. But before we continue, who am I and why should you trust me or believe in anything I've got to say? My name is Brendan from Blue Light, and over the past 31 years, I've been helping people just like you to succeed in the police promotion process, in specialist interviews, and over the past 15 years in the recruitment process with a huge amount of success. Just take a look at our Trustpilot reviews. We've got almost 800 5-star reviews, and they're not all from police recruit candidates. A lot of them are from promotion board successes also. So let's dive in. Where is this coming from, first of all? Well, yesterday I delivered a workshop on behalf of one of my old friends and colleagues, Superintendent Noden from Greater Manchester Police at Stretford Police Station. That was my old stomping ground. It's where I was an inspector. And in that workshop, we covered a huge amount of ground in terms of what they needed to do to be successful promotion candidates or to succeed in specialist interviews. And we had people going from PC to sergeant, sergeant to inspector, inspector to chief inspector. And the one thing that we didn't get round to was formulating a roadmap. So this video is especially for them because they asked for how to formulate a roadmap, and we went off on all sorts of tangents and dealt with all sorts of other cool stuff. I hope it was valuable. I'm going to allude to some of the stuff that we actually covered in this video. So what do we mean by a roadmap? Well, where you are now is aspiring to be the next rank. Where you want to be is in the next rank. What most people do is they wait until the invites come out for a promotion board and they complete their application and start looking backwards to try and identify the times and moments when they've demonstrated the sort of skills that are being looked for by the police service, the organisation, in respect of future leaders. Now, we're going to focus on emotional awareness here. I've not got time to focus on every one of the values or competencies, but we're going to focus on emotional awareness. Why? Because in Greater Manchester Police, 3 years ago, Sir Stephen Watson, Chief Constable Sir Stephen Watson, now recently knighted, came along and started sorting out GMP. I wish I had still been part of GMP because I would have loved it. The first thing he focused on was performance in the first year. In the second year, the focus was on standards, ethical standards and standards of behaviour. And this year, the third year, there's a big focus on well-being and welfare, to the extent that this is one of the promotion board questions, like how in the future as a leader are you going to cater for your own welfare and well-being so that you can take care of the welfare and well-being of your officers, and how will you do that? So it's a forward-facing question. In our workshop, we went into how we develop answers for forward-facing questions. I'm not going to have the time to do that in this video. And so what we're going to utilize is we're going to use level 2 as a CVF, because if you're going for inspector or sergeant, that's what you're going to be assessed against. If you're going for inspector, I would probably lean more towards level 3 to actually go completely over the top in terms of your evidence and really, really persuade them that you're going to be a solid inspector. And this is something else we covered, actually. I'm going to do some side tangents today. So something else we covered yesterday is how a lot of the individuals in the room had experience that they were going to utilize for their promotion board, which demonstrated how they were a good sergeant, or if they were going for chief inspector, how they were a good inspector. You need to be identifying the skills and behaviors that they're looking for in the next rank. And that's what you need to be speaking about. You need to be developing yourself around those behaviors that they require. And that's where this roadmap comes in. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an audit. At the very start, where you are now, we're going to audit the level of our behaviors against each one of the competencies at the right level, which is level 2, bordering on level 3 if you want to be an inspector. And for the values, of course, there are no levels. Why? I don't know. It's just like the way the College of Policing have worked it is that values have no levels, but if you look at the behaviors within the values, they're often mirroring the behaviors within the competencies. I know, confusing. That's why we call it the wheel of confusion. Making sense so far? All right. But anyway, the key thing is the audit. So when we do this audit, we're going to look at some of the behaviors. in level 2, because it's these behaviors you're going to get assessed against. They're not going to ask you a question, can you tell me about a time when you've demonstrated emotional awareness? It doesn't work like that. Or can you tell me in the future as a leader how you're going to promote emotional awareness? It just doesn't work like that. What they want to hear about is certain behaviors within that competency that demonstrate the skills that they're looking for. Another side tangent. Oh, I'll tell you about the next side tangent in a moment. So we'll take one of them. I monitor the well-being of others, taking responsibility to ensure appropriate support is provided to help colleagues state their best without stigma or judgment. Simply coming up with, I make sure that my officers, I've always got trim trained officers on my team, isn't enough, because that's like force policy. You shouldn't be just reciting how you've dealt with something using force policy, or you will deal with things by using force policy. And you may be thinking, well, isn't that what they want to hear? Yes, they kind of do, but that on a scale of 1 to 5, when that's the marking guide for GMP, by the way, you'll either score a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. If you just outline policy, that, you know, the things that you would normally do on a day when the sea isn't stormy, then you'll get a 3. What they want to really hear about, though, is how you're going to add value and how you can keep the sails up on the ship when there's a storm, when you can ride that storm, when you can ride the really difficult and challenging moments. That's what they're looking for. That's what's going to give you the 4 or the 5. Is that making sense? So if we look at monitor the well-being of others, have you got some kind of system in place that is more than what the force requires of you to monitor the well-being of others? So I actually got ChatGPT to design one for me. So if your force hasn't got a system for this, you could get ChatGPT to do it. So I actually got ChatGPT to design a matrix where you could balance each individual officer's attendance at calls based on what they've just been dealing with. Now, I'm going to talk about an extreme here. Can you imagine an officer who's got 1 year's service? They're still finding their way, and in a shift of nights, in a set of 5 nights, they've been sent to multiple sudden deaths. It's just the way the cookie crumbled. It's just the way the die was cast, and it's just like their bad luck this week is that they've been to like 7 sudden deaths, whereas some of their colleagues have been to none. And there'll be lots of pulling legs about Dr. Death and all the rest of it. There'll be some of those pulling legs banter may be appropriate. Some of it may not be appropriate. I'm not going to deal with that now. But have you got a system in place so that you capture that on night 3, that this officer has been to X number of sudden deaths or has been to certain incidents that have been or could be traumatic in terms of the drip, drip, drip effect of trauma? And so that you've got a system in place to ensure that comms are aware of this and how you're managing each individual officer's exposure to trauma, so that that comms operator who doesn't know anything about the previous nights, they may have a completely different shift system, or they might have been working in a completely different area, or they may just not remember. It may just be a blur to them. But you've got some way of indicating to the comms officers that this particular officer should not be sent to any more traumatic incidents unless it goes through you. I'm just giving you that as an example. Like, have you got that system in place? So if you haven't, then you mark it down on your audit that this is something you don't have. So you may want to create a line like this and have this as a, for that particular behavior, we're going to call it number 1. It's an X. You don't have it. So you need to build this up. You need to design this thing so that you do have it. This is part of your audit. You've recognized a gap. Or if you do these things, great. You want to be collecting evidence in a diary so that you can refer back to it at this point and you're not scratching your head thinking, so what was it I did again? So you've got something in a diary. And for our Academy members, by the way, we outlined to you how to actually construct that diary. You know, what each chapter of each page should be, what the headline should be on your page. We've got a system for actually capturing that information. So next, I'm not going to go through every one of the behaviours, but I recognise when my colleagues are affected by the demands, stresses and traumas that can exist in policing and support them wherever I can. So what are you doing in a systematic way that doesn't seem like, can you come into my office, we need to discuss your workload? Do you have a system in place to ensure that you speak to every one of your officers about their workload? And you might be thinking, oh, surely the bosses don't want that. Well, yes, they do. Yes, they do. They really, really do. Because one of the things I challenged the individuals on this workshop to do was to contact an ACC or above and ask them these two questions. What's the one thing that keeps you awake at 4 in the morning? And once you've told me what that thing is, what would you expect from a good sergeant or inspector in order to deal with that thing so that you don't have to worry about it at 4 in the morning? And it's not even 24 hours since we've had the workshop, but one officer did do that. They contacted the ACC, who actually came back to them straight away and gave them a really, really detailed response. And it was all about well-being, welfare. No surprise, because that's like year 3 for Sir Stephen Watson. And like I said before, first year, performance, second year, standards, third year, welfare, well-being. If you don't get those things right, then everything else just falls apart. We looked at that yesterday as well, about the relationship between welfare and well-being and performance, standards, misconduct. A whole load of things connect with welfare and well-being. We've got to get this right. So one of the phrases that one of the individuals used was how we need to put welfare and well-being front and center of everything we do. So my question back was like, right, great. What does that look like? You're like, how do you systemize that so that it doesn't seem like something formal? It doesn't seem like something like, I'm going to do welfare and well-being stuff to you now, to your officers, but they appreciate and understand that you regularly, on a regular basis, you are connecting with them about the things that cause them pressure. And workload is one of those things. Is that making sense? Is this all making sense so far? Do let me know in the comments. If you think this is total BS, again, let me know in the comments. But look, this is getting people promoted. This is what gets the 4s and 5s on your interview board. And if you'd like to find out more, by the way, about how to join our academy, this is where we work one-to-one closely with you on a one-to-one basis, small group practice webinars, a ton of online material. And we actually guarantee a pass for our academy members. When I say guarantee, if you don't pass first time, we keep working with you. If you don't pass the second time and get your pips or stripes or 3 pips or crown, we just give you a full refund. Like, how fair is that? I know we can do that. We can afford to do that because our success rate is that high. If you'd like to find out more about how to join our academy, there's a form in the description below. Complete that form, submit it, and we'll have a conversation. There's no pressure. It's to see whether you're a good fit for us, and more importantly, you can see whether we're a good fit for you, because it's got to work both ways. It seriously has. All my coaching team, they're all awesome, amazing coaches. They've all got decades of experience. But the one thing I promise them all is that you're going to be working with awesome people who you're going to like to work with. So we just got to, check you out, and you've got to check us out. Make sense? All right, let's continue. So the next one, I role model reflecting on my own emotions to promote an open environment to discuss concerns. So role modeling, how do you actually systematically demonstrate that you're a role model in respect of welfare and well-being? And this goes back to that question that's being asked in promotion boards now. It's a 2-part question. How will you as a leader cater for your own welfare and well-being, and then cater for the welfare and well-being of your officers? Kenneth Blanchard, the author of 1 Minute Manager. If you've not read that book, do read it. It's awesome. It's amazing. And there's also a brilliant book on prioritizing and delegating called The 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey. It's a really easy read, really quick, and you're going to go, oh my goodness, that's so simple. Implement those things, implement the things in those 2 books, and you're going to be an amazing leader, even more amazing than you are at the moment. But there's one of the things he talked about, and it's a phrase that stuck with me. If you can't take care of the me, then you can't take care of the we. You have to take care of the me first before you take care of the we. If your welfare and well-being, if your emotional state is not where it needs to be, how can you expect to look after the emotional state of your officers? Make sense? So you've got to get it right. And that's why this question is being asked in promotion boards all across the country, like all across the country is a forward-facing question. So in that open environment, have you systemized it? Do you have a system for this? Again, we'll audit it. Like, if you don't, be honest and develop it. If you do, great, record what you do. Remember, not record what you do on a daily basis, but record what you do when the seas are stormy. Like, they don't want to hear about how you can sail a ship sail a ship with the sails up and it's beautiful, calm water, or it may just be a little bit of a breeze. They don't want to hear about that. They want to hear about when the storm hit you unexpectedly and you still manage to sail the ship in the right direction and make sure no one goes man overboard. Does that make sense? That's what they want to hear about. That's what gets you the 4 and the 5. All right, lastly, promoting a culture that values understanding difference and encourages speaking up. So be honest with yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, to what extent are your officers happy to speak up about things that really concern them and worry them on a scale of 1 to 10? If it's anything, if 1 is not at all and 10 is they're really open, I encourage them to do that. I've already got a system for it. Then great, record it. Record what you do, how you systemized it. And there's your audit. You can look back on that in a few months' time when you apply, fill out your application form, you've got great evidence and you've got something to talk about on the board. If not, then you've got some work to do. You've got some work to do. And we talked about yesterday, side tangent, we talked about one of the questions that is rarely asked within the police service that can help nail this one. So this is about valuing and understanding, encouraging people to speak up. How do you do that? Like, how do you do that on a regular basis? So I'll leave you with this little top tip, and it's something that everyone promised they were going to do yesterday. Whether they've done it or not, I don't know, but I hope they have. And it's a really simple question. It's just not being asked enough. And it goes like this. Can you tell me about something you've done over the past week that you're really proud of? That's it. Like, how many times have you been asked that question? And how many times have you asked that question? And I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking. Like, oh, I think I asked it at someone's appraisal once, or I think I was asked that at my appraisal once. This should not be a question that waits for appraisals. This should be a question that you ask on a regular basis. Because what we tend to do in the police is we focus on what's broken. We don't focus on what's working. We don't focus on the things that people are really proud of. So if you're looking at a culture that values understanding difference and encourages speaking up, how do you identify that? The way I'd identify that is building on that proud question. You can ask it just about something you're proud of and wait and see what comes out of it. There is another, I'll do another video on this another time. There's a way of building upon that using a model of organizational development called appreciative inquiry. It's something I've used for decades and it just so works. And it's motivating as well. So if you then ask the question about valuing understanding and difference and encouraging people to speak up, can you tell me about something you've done that you're proud of where you had to go out of your way to understand someone else's differences? This is all about inclusion. It's links with diversity, equality, and inclusion. So what are you doing to encourage people to speak up? I wouldn't focus on encouraging people to speak up necessarily in an open forum about the things that are going wrong, because it could just become a 1 hour of this is wrong, complaint, and it just feeds on itself. Do that on a one-to-one basis. If you're doing it in a group, let's talk about and share things that we're proud of. So asking that question. Build that into your audit. And if you're doing it, great, record it. If you're not doing it, make a note of it. Put your X there. Give it a number, put an X there, and start working on that particular behavior. See what we're doing here? We're like systemizing your development. We're building up a roadmap for your police promotion. If you do these things and you do them well, I will guarantee that you'll go from sergeant to inspector or PC to sergeant or inspector to chief inspector. I guarantee it. You can't fail because you're on a daily basis doing the things that matter. Like that's for another day. My sort of 3 stages to developing yourself. I'll deal with that on another video. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. If it has been, then do let me know in the comments. If it's inspired you, want to find out more about how we can support you as a team to succeed and get these pips, get the stripes, get the 3 pips, the crown, whatever it might be, then do let us know. Complete that form and we'll see you on the other side. Take care for now and look after yourself.